Paperback Rocker, episode 67.
Hey, this is Matt Severson, the Paperback Rocker, and I'm broadcasting from my 6x9 foot cinder block shack in the desert of northern Mexico, southern Texas. Welcome and thanks for checking out my show.
He writes books. He plays music. He's a podcaster. He's a little of everything. He's the Paperback Rocker.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your old friend Matt, the Paperback Rocker. I'm back again with my little podcast, that spot on the internet where I hang out and lately have been reading my novel Blue Whiskey to you. You may hear thunder in the background, and there's a very nervous Scottish Terrier running around as well. But there are other episodes, because this is coming up on 70 episodes. There are lots and lots of episodes that are shows that I did, planned out, edited, all that. There's interviews. There's a lot of good stuff. So go back and check out some of the old shows. Somebody dropped me a line at paperbackrocker@live.com because I'm starting to think that these downloads are just robots. But maybe someone out there is enjoying this. Where we left off last time was immediately after the son of Faulkner's funeral. And let's see. Reuben was in a real bad depression, and Stanton helped him out of it by helping him make a gratitude list, and they are just going upstairs to work on that gratitude list some more. They've closed the Thirsty Possum early for the evening. Up in Reuben's room, I was formally introduced to the music of Bob Dylan. Shoved down my throat might be a better description. That's what my mother did with medicine when I was a kid, and this was similar. It was done for my own good in both cases. You'll recall my initial aversion to Dylan's sandpaper and glue voice when I first heard it in that booth in the Thirsty Possum months before. But Reuben had a brand new album called The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, and it was something else. Reuben must have been listening to the record when I wasn't around, because he had all the words memorized. Seconds before each particularly effective lyrical jab, Reuben would whisper, "Listen, listen." Then afterward, he would laugh drunkenly and smile at me with his head nodding furiously while somehow restraining himself from speaking over the music. The songs passed quickly, and I had a hard time focusing on anything in particular. Other than that this was a new sound to my ears, and I liked it. Then a song on the second side called Oxford Town came on. About halfway through it, I realized he was singing about my hometown and what had happened the year before when the first black boy started school at Ole Miss. I couldn't believe it. Greenwich Village and Oxford, Mississippi were connected, and I took it as a sign. I asked Reuben to start the record over and listened as intently as I could. When the song Masters of War ended, my teeth were clenched. "Play it again, damn it," I ordered. "By Jove, I think he's got it," said Reuben as he rose to restart the track. After a half dozen more listens, I had a sneer on my face that threatened to become permanent. "Is your glass still half full?" Reuben asked. "Barely," I said. Want to play me your song about the squids and the whales?" I looked at him with a rueful smile. "You told me I did good for the first time, you bastard." "It was good," he said. "I'm kidding." "It was not good," I said. "Don't screw with me." "Whoa! Easy, big fella. You can't compare your first attempt at songwriting to Masters of War." "Wait until you hear my next song," I said. "Challenge accepted." "Well, take more than an hour to write it. I don't mean that as an insult. Take as much time as you need to get it right. Make it as perfect as you can, but understand that it's never going to be perfect. At some point, every bird has to fly, if you get my drift. I get it, Reuben. The curtain has to be pulled back eventually. Thanks for the lesson. It is you who has taught me, Stanton. My glass is much fuller by your presence in my life. He raised the fifth of Jim Beam that had rested between his thighs long enough for him to sober slightly, took a drink, and handed it to me. I refused. My mind wanted to be sharp, like the words in Masters of War. Okay, that was the end of chapter 6, and we are now on page 72, chapter 7, as the thunder rumbles in the distance. Months passed, and I worked harder than I ever had, both physically and mentally. I relished each night's labor, and the constant mopping made me lean and sinewy and strong. That's the nervous terrier. Lucy, get out of there. Sorry. Gosh. She's trying to get back behind my computer. Lucy, go somewhere else. She's really panicking. I'm going to have to stop this and come back in a second. Okay, I'm back. Terrier has been banished to the bedroom. She's out of control. So I am going to start over on chapter 7. Months passed, and I worked harder than I ever had, both physically and mentally. I relished each night's labor, and the constant mopping made me lean and sinewy and strong. My hair had not been cut since leaving home, and it was shoulder length. I tucked it behind my ears and let the waves roll where they may. My manner of dress had been influenced by the denizens of Bourbon Street, and I wore pearl-snap Western shirts and worn-out Wranglers from thrift shops. Someone had given me an old pair of army boots, which were just the thing for my messy work in the saloon. Reuben was still a black-clothed, goateed, slightly plump beatnik. Daily music practice had my voice and fingers lean and sinewy as well. I learned that becoming a ruthless self-editor was the smartest thing I could do. Useless words in the songs I wrote were excised as if they were cancerous tumors, or better yet, replaced by stronger, more evocative ones. My goal was to have 10 original songs before moving forward. I imagined they would become my first record, with 2 cover songs added to make a 12-song album. My ambition was limitless, for it was all in my head. Reuben noticed the intensity with which I was approaching life in the wake of the son of Faulkner's passing, but he thought I was working on one song all that time, scared to introduce it to the world. All my practicing was done on that same bench where I wrote that first awful mess, and not a soul was ever within earshot while I worked out my rough drafts. Each Friday, Captain Hess and his mate, the scourge of humanity, Stubbs, came to hear my progress after Miss Lucy docked in the late morning. They were the perfect critics, real everymen. They didn't know squat about music, but they always brought me a waxed cardboard box full of shrimp on ice to take back for the evening meal. They felt indebted to me, since I had provided them with an approximation of the son of Faulkner's recipe for chum, which worked almost as well without being regurgitated. The 2 of them were an excellent audience. They didn't understand a bit of what I was attempting to convey lyrically, but they liked the sounds I made. They sat on the grass in front of me and rapt attention like children. "Whatever it was you were playing sounded lovely, chum, and whatever it was you were singing about was very interesting," Stubbs would say. Finally, I felt I was ready to unveil my songs to the public. One Friday, after we had closed the bar, Reuben and I were sipping a beer, separated by the stool the son of Faulkner used to sit on. Neither of us ever sat there. "We should do something with that stool to memorialize the son of Faulkner," I suggested. "Like what?" "I don't know, paint it gold or something. And we could put a little reserved sign on the bar in front of it," Reuben said. "Good idea. I've got another idea if you'll hear it. Shoot. Let's build a little stage so we can have some live music." Every bar on Bourbon Street has live blues or jazz, Stanton. That's why our crowd comes here. They want to play the Wurlitzer and visit with each other. I'm not talking about blues. I'm talking about Greenwich Village type stuff, folk music and maybe some beatnik poetry. Reuben smiled. I'll be the first performer and I'll play for free, I said. I don't know if the world is ready for the squid and the whale, Stanton. It's shrimp, not squid. Either way, I'm not playing that song. You'll have to be present at the performance to hear my set. You sure you want to do this? He said with a concerned look. Are you ready? Even Bobby Dylan had a first show, lest you forget. How could I? I was there. I was at his first show in the village. He wasn't good. Uncle Reuben, will you tell me all about Greenwich Village while we build the stage? I said in a childish voice. Starting with the correct pronunciation of the place you're infatuated with, Reuben said with a laugh. That was just for old time's sake, Reuben. Each morning for the next week, Reuben and I met 2 hours before work to construct the little stage in the back of the saloon. Reuben told me everything he could remember about every gig he saw and every person he knew in Greenwich Village. He would say things like, "Go see Frankie Valvano at Bleecker and Broadway. He's got a newspaper stand and he knows all the neighborhood gossip, like where a good little apartment for you to rent might be. Good old Frankie. Hang around with him for an afternoon and you'll know every cheap place to eat, too. He weighs probably 400 pounds. My head swam as I took it all in, and I made more than my share of measurement errors. Luckily, the wood for the stage had been donated by Reuben's beer distributor, Broken Pallets. Regardless of that, Reuben admonished me each time, telling me that if I settled for making simple errors building the stage, I would do the same when I played on it. It made sense to me, and I improved throughout the week. We finished the project on Friday morning, and Reuben asked when I wanted my first show to be. Tonight, I guess. Easy, big fella. Don't you want to run your material by me before you unveil it? Nice try, Rube. Don't try to get me all nervous. I can do that on my own. Well, tonight's too soon. We need to round up a PA and get the word out. PA? I said. Reuben laughed and made a rhetorical statement, which I could hear, of course. He doesn't know what a PA is. He's all ready to play a show, and he doesn't know what a bloody PA is. Well, what is it? Some sort of permit audience? Public address, Stanton. Microphones, speakers, all that stuff. Well, if you would have said public address, I would have known, wouldn't I? I bluffed. Would you? Reuben called my bluff. No, but that doesn't mean we don't need one, I said, engaging another tactic. Pretzel logic won't work on me, boy, replied Reuben. We'll have the show next Saturday. Now sweep up this sawdust and mop and get ready to open the possum. And remind me to teach you about the shell game before you go to New York, or you'll lose your ass. As Reuben walked away, I heard him say to himself, The boy is too naive. City will eat him alive. Will not, I said loudly. Reuben, you hear me? It will not. Over the course of the week, I practiced harder than ever at the old bench. Word spread up and down Bourbon Street that the kid from the Possum was playing on Saturday night. So many of the other bar and restaurant employees wanted to see me, they asked Reuben to move the show to Sunday. They were willing to shut down their establishments for the night, which probably had a lot to do with the son of Faulkner's passing. It was a show of support for Reuben and the Thirsty Possum as much as it was for me. I had mixed feelings upon hearing the news. I was honored that Bourbon Street was willing to shutter for a night to come see me, but it came with a ton of pressure. I had to prove myself in a big way, be it my first gig or not. If I flopped, everyone would be upset that they closed for the night, losing out on fares, dinner tickets, wages, and tips. Each night that week after the Possum closed, I stayed downstairs after Reuben went to bed. I stood on the little stage and silently mimed my first 3 songs, picturing a full house in front of me. Something quite unexpected also developed over the week. I convinced myself that everyone was coming just to laugh at me, and I would go down in history as the laughingstock of Bourbon Street, never to be forgotten. The natural result of these thoughts was blind anger. It was all I could do to sleep, and by the end of the week, I was ragged from sleep deprivation and mental torment. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. That's a good spot, and I have no idea really how long I am on this episode since I had to stop it in the middle and deal with the nervous Scottish Terrier. But anyway, hope you're enjoying it. I'm going to record the next episode right this minute, so it will be following this one in just a few days. Hope you're enjoying it. Let me know if you are. Don't let me know if you are not. I know the accents are terrible. Thanks for being with me as always. Have a good one.
The Paperback Rocker has signed off.